It's Hollies Hotspurs, welcome back. Talking Tottenham every week, no better place to be sat. If it's a win, lose, draw, we'll be here for a chat. Best believe we tackle topics like Romero in the back. Heung-min Son, what can go wrong when he's on form? It's a dream come true, so sit back, relax and vibe with us. Special guests every...
Hello and welcome to another episode of Hollies Hotspurs Live. It is actually, in fact, the last one of the year. So it's been an exciting year and I am joined by fabulous guests to dissect it all. First of all, I'm joined by the lovely Wes. Wes, it's so nice to have you on again. It feels like ages since we spoke because I keep dipping here, there and everywhere. But how are you?
Yeah, all good. It feels a bit strange to be on a Monday because I'm usually co-host duties with you whenever you can be bothered on a midweek show. But yeah, no, nice to be back on a Monday show, and yeah, some positivity for a change because obviously we had a good result at the weekend. So yeah, makes a nice change. Looking forward to this one, 100%.
Defo, like I say, Wes, thank you again, my friend. And we're also joined from across the pond from Ross. Ross, it's so lovely to have you back on again. How are you?
Doing great. Always a pleasure to be on, and always good when we can talk about a win.
Indeed. It is very, very nice. We'll also be joined by Wynnie as well. He'll jump on at some point. Before we get into it, I want to say a big thank you to Carl again, the man, the myth, the legend that has become a channel member again for another consecutive month. I can't quite remember how many months it is, but it's a bloody long time. So thank you very much. Welcome to everybody else that's joining in as well. We have got a lot to dissect. But before we talk about the Forest game, I want to mention the fact that the first time in our history at the weekend, Spurs women managed to beat Arsenal 1-0 at home. Wes, I'm going to come to you first. How amazing does that sound to say?
Oh, it was brilliant. And do you know what? I didn't catch too much of the game, but from the bits that I did see, like you can see that there's a clear identity now, not only from the men's team, but from the women's team as well, which is really, really nice. By the way, the goal was absolutely brilliant. Working it pretty much, playing out from the back, playing through the pitch, through the foot, and actually opening up an Arsenal team who are coming off the back of a very, very comprehensive win over Chelsea. And they tore Chelsea apart at the Library, the Emirates, the week before. So I think that in itself makes it even more impressive that we were, our women's team were able to do that. And yeah, it was absolutely buzzing. Like I said, I saw the goal at the time and it was just a lovely, lovely bit of play and everything else. So yeah, where's Uncle Albert when we need him? Just to say about it. But no, it was, like I say, a really, really good result. And I'm hoping now that it allows our women's team to just have a bit more of a kickstart. They started the season really, really well, had a few results that didn't go their way. But I think the cup game in particular against Arsenal was giving them that bit of belief that they can go toe to toe with the big guns in the WSL. And I think that was another or evidence of that was obviously on Saturday and the way that they worked the goal. It was absolutely brilliant. So yeah, big up the women's team, big up Ash Neville as well. I know Ash. So yeah, it was like I say, it was nice win for the women.
It really was. And the fact it was over them lot, Ross, isn't it? It's pretty much the icing on the cake, isn't it?
Oh, for sure. I mean, anytime we can beat them at anything, a game of checkers, it doesn't matter. If we beating Arsenal is at anything in any way is always great. And the other teams, I mean, the women's team is of course, but also the youth teams too are doing very well. And it was good to see Ange at the women's game. That was really nice to see. That he's there supporting them, and I mean, he's like I said, he's given us our club back, and it's really nice to see him participating in that and to see the women going out there and showing out, smacking the scum for us.
No, it was very nice. And like you say, it's kind of breathing Ange out throughout the whole club. I like the way you mentioned, obviously, the youth team as well. And it was nice to see him in the stands at the weekend. But good on the girls. We're going to move on, obviously, to the Forest game. And Wes, I'm going to come to you first. I mean, thoughts going into this one? What were you kind of feeling about it?
I was feeling quite confident, actually, to be fair. Forest's run of form wasn't very favourable. They've really, really struggled. I think, especially since Awonyu's been out, they haven't really had that focal point, which is strange because Cooper does have centre forward options. He just doesn't trust them. And I was speaking to a Forest fan about it on Saturday, and I said, "Look, he doesn't trust Woods or Regan." He turned around to me and went, "No, because they're shit." Just as plain and simple as that. And I was like, "Right, okay, fair enough." And I think that's obviously why he went with Gibbs White and Elanga up top. But I think from my perspective, going into the game, I was really, really confident that we would go there and get the job done. I know, like I say, Forest form wasn't great, but I know their home form has been better than their away form. I know they were horrific away from home last year, and it seems like they've carried that on into this season as well. But I thought we had more than enough to go there and get the job done, and obviously that proved to be the case in the end on Friday night.
It did, and I think that was the thing. I think we were, I don't want to say quietly confident, but going off of form, etc., we kind of were in the mood that we were going to be in the driving seat. I mean, coming up with a lineup, Ross, were you happy to see the same sort of personnel that obviously faced Newcastle as well?
Oh yeah, for sure. Ain't broke, don't fix it. I mean, that's the we did so well against Newcastle with that lineup. I mean, it's really working well. Kulu being in the middle, he's really shined since he's been there, which I always thought he could play in that spot, but he's really come on since that's happened, and allows Sonny to move out there to the wing, and Sonny can be a striker. I mean, he can be anything that we'd want him to be. But having Richie there in the middle, I think, especially with his form being back, really helps because he's more of your traditional 9, bigger guy that can get in the box, take up space, hold the ball up, and Sonny does great with that too. He's a little smaller, so I don't think he does well at it, but I think Richie's a little bit better suited to be there in the middle like that. So, I liked it. I was definitely happy with the lineup.
Yeah, I think I was as well. Like you say, if we're going off of momentum that I think we need to kind of do with all the injuries we've had in a little while, it is good to kind of stick with that same sort of team. I mean, whereas we did start quite well. Obviously, Ross has spoken about Sonny, and Sonny did nearly get us off the mark, didn't he, very early on?
Yeah, I have to profess, I unfortunately I didn't see the first half, so you've absolutely killed me with that question there, by the way, because I was out working and out coaching. I just about got back in for the second half, so I had to kind of catch up on a few things fairly quickly. But I spoke with my dad and sort of said, like, right, how we've been playing, how's the first half been going. I think probably the biggest thing that he mentioned was the fact that Elanga had a really big chance that he missed. And I was going, right, okay, anything else like from Spurs perspective? Not really. Just kind of, had a couple of maybe half chances here and there. Obviously, Richarlison got the goal, but that was kind of my dad summing up the first half for me. I was there like, cheers, Dad.
Cheers, Steve-O.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, the first kind of instance was obviously when I think it was Romero, in actual fact, managed to slot the ball in for Sonny. And Ross, if we kind of going back to that chat of, well, it's not necessarily Sonny's natural position to be the striker. Is that kind of a goal you'd expect? I know I don't want to bring his name up, but Harry Kane would score those type of goals, not necessarily Sonny. Or do you think Matt Turner just did a very good job at obviously making sure it didn't go in the back of the net?
Yeah, well, some of all of that. I mean, Matt Turner did pretty well, which he's American. I'm an American, so I can't. I'm not going to really talk too badly about him because I like to see Americans in the Prem. But no, he did a really good job with it. I mean, yeah, I think Harry might get that, but that's Harry. I mean, Harry's one of the best in the world, one of the best to ever do it. But it's just one of those things. It's a chance, and you just you either make it or you don't. He made a good play on it, but no, I don't think that reflected so bad about Sonny because he'll make those too. Half the time as well.
Definitely. I think it was just the nature of how quick it was because I think it was like the first 3 minutes. And it goes back to that age-old thing of we always start really well, we don't manage to finish our dinner. But obviously it got to the point, Wes, where things were going quite well. We have quite a few golden opportunities. I mean, Steve-O might disagree with me. But there was one chance, obviously, where we're thinking of Johnson, so to speak. And I think Johnson's been playing okay, but it's so annoying that he's managed to get that injury. I believe it was in the first half. So what do you kind of make of that whole Johnson injury?
Well, listening to Ange afterwards, it's not so. I don't think it's as bad as we were first fearing. So fingers crossed that he can make the Everton game on Saturday because we're definitely going to need him now, especially with obviously Basuma being suspended. So again, it looks like Decky might have to go into that 10 position. And I think we're going to need, players anyway. And we're definitely going to need our better players. And I think Brennan Johnson, for me, has shown flashes, but I don't think he's really had a consistent game and as of yet, but I think there's signs of a good player in there. I think his pace is his biggest attribute and his biggest strength. But for me, Brennan Johnson, like I look at the City game. Obviously, I was at the Empty Ads, where for that one, and that it seems his performance there really divided opinion because me and my dad were obviously there, and we're going, what's he? He's an absolute shocker. But you then go onto Twitter afterwards and you get like the reaction from other fans, and it was like, oh, how good was he? And I'm going, what? I know people see the game differently and we all have our own views and everything else, but I'm just going like, maybe me and my dad are the odd ones out here because we've seen something completely different to perhaps everybody else. But yeah, no, like I said, I think Johnson will be all right for Saturday. It was just slightly frustrating because as Ross mentioned earlier, Decky in that 10 role has been absolutely brilliant. I love the way he receives the ball, can take it, can go both ways, likes to receive it in tight spaces, which is really, really good. It's what you need really from somebody in that area of the pitch. And it just gives him that freedom and that license to pick up these little pockets of space. And he's got the quality to drive with the ball in there. I think similarly to Lucas Moura when he went in there under Mourinho, but Lucas was a bit more like, right, first, like now you see me, now you don't kind of thing. Whereas Decky's got a bit more guile to him as opposed to Moura was just out and out pace in that position. So yeah, like I say, it was slightly frustrating, but I think the team did well to react off the back of it. Is probably what I could say.
Yeah, definitely. I think, like you said, it's just a nasty cut. I think was what Ange kind of said in that kind of space. So hopefully he is obviously back for Everton. But Ross, I kind of want to get your thoughts on Johnson because we spoke a little bit last week about Johnson and the fact that he looks like he's going to be a decent player. He's got that. He manages to take players on. He manages to beat them. It's just maybe that end product it's a little bit lacking at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, he shows a lot of flashes. He's got a lot of pace. He can really get into those positions. I mean, he nearly had that one against what was it, Newcastle? Yeah. Oh man, they probably would have called the cops on me for a welfare check if that would have gone in because that was incredible. I mean, that if he would have got that. So yeah, the potential's there. I just think he just has to put it together. He just has to get that chance that he can put away. And I think he will. I don't mind him being out there at all. I mean, I think his pace alone just puts that pressure on that side that he's on, and draws the guys away. And he's going to get in those positions, and you just have to get with Ange's system. You just got to get that ball into him at the right time, and he can finish it. So yeah, I don't have a problem. And yeah, it was no concussion, just a cut to the head is what Ange said. So he should be good to go for this weekend, thankfully.
Hopefully, because it's kind of like what you guys have said in the sense that it's just a little knock. It won't be too bad. I mean, our injury list is getting longer and longer by the minute, so it'd be lovely to have him play it and then hopefully see obviously Decky come in the middle. But Wes, I want to talk about the man of the moment at the moment, and who would have thought maybe at the start of the season we'd be saying this, but Richarlison has finally found some form. What did you obviously? I'm assuming you saw the goal. What did you make of the goal from him?
Wicked header, really good movement to get in front as well. But I mean, the ball in from Kulusevski is an absolute beauty, isn't it? Really, it's just one of those that's going. It's one of those where if you're a coach, you're just saying to the wide player, put it into that area, and then if the striker doesn't react off of it, you're then having a go at your centre forward because you're then going, right, well, he's put an absolute dream of a ball in that's begging to be attacked, and thankfully Richie read the flight of it really well and got in front of Turner on that. I think it's a goal that you see quite a lot where a goalkeeper kind of commits to it, but more often than not that as long as somebody's in front, they're gonna get contact on it. But like I say, I think that the ball in from Kulusevski really does make the goal. But yeah, again, good movement from Richarlison, like I say, to get across the front, good contact on it. And yeah, he's hitting a little bit of form now at a good time for us because we know obviously Sonny's going to be away fairly soon for the Asia Cup. So we're going to need other players in and around to try and step up and take the mantle and try and get some goals for us. So yeah, it was a good finish, and I think he took his goals really, really well against Newcastle as well. So hopefully now he can start to come good and get us some goals. But I think the thing for me with Richarlison is, he's played 50 games for us now. I think I saw that stat across the weekend, and you're looking at it going, well, there's only really a handful of goals in there. So with that in mind, is he somebody that we can really rely on? I'm not 100% convinced on it just yet. But having said that, it's good. Like I say, it's good that he's bagged a couple, and yeah, hopefully it can start snowballing and he can get some more now for us.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I think it's just the consistency with Richarlison, and now that he's getting these goals every other match, or every match, so to speak, it does sign hope for goodness to come. I mean, Ross, I know Wes has said obviously about the cross from Decky, but I know a couple of weeks ago Richarlison missed one of those sitters, so it is quite nice to see the net ripple.
Oh, it is. I'm definitely happy for him. Proo proo, our pigeon lord, long may he reign. But it's just great to see, and I really think that surgery that he had, I think maybe that might have been what was affecting him, because since then he's been almost a completely different player. I mean, so far, I mean, we don't know, but I do think that had a lot to do with it, because right afterwards, he started doing better. He started, finishing these chances, and it's one of those things. Sometimes they're not going to go, sometimes they're going to go. Now they're starting to go for him. But yeah, Kulu's cross in was just incredible. I mean, even my old self probably could have got on the end of that. But not to take away from Richarlison, that was a great finish. You still have to finish it. So like I said, I'm glad to see him come in better, because as I've said, he's more of that traditional 9, and it gives Sonny some more freedom to be out there and do some of the other things. And, again, we just don't have much else up there either. So, we almost need him too. So yeah, I'm really glad to see it, and I really hope that it continues.
Definitely. And I think the thing is, where we're seeing the likes of Decky playing so well down the middle, where we're seeing Sonny at times playing better when he's out wide, and Johnson when he plays better out wide, it's almost like the natural position for Richarlison to slot in, because I know we could play Sonny up top, but it's kind of like you said, you want Richarlison, who is that striker, to play in that striker position. So I 100% get it. And I know we said about Decky, and we'll probably get onto Decky a little bit later on to talk about how class he is again, because he is another man of the moment. But I want to talk about obviously the second half. And I know that you said earlier, Wes, that your friend says that the strikers were diabolical, and there was points in that second half where that comment is 100% true, because I think right at the start, was it Bolly who missed an absolute sitter where it's like straight over the bar?
Yeah, that's a centre half getting a nosebleed, I'm afraid, with that one. But the thing for me in the second half was, and I'm sure we're going to come on to obviously the second goal in a minute, but and probably Basuma, but Steve Cooper for me really let himself down in the second half. We go down to 10 men, and he waits nearly 15 minutes to bring Callum Hudson-Odoi onto the football pitch. What's he waiting for? We're down to 10 men. You get Hudson-Odoi on straight away. Then you might get either Wood or Origi on as well. When you say to Gibbs White, you drop into the 10 and get on the ball and give it to Hudson-Odoi and Elanga, but you say to them, just stay out wide, hug the touchline, try and stretch us and make life difficult for us. And it was a bit, like I say, I'm really questioning Steve Cooper on that, because that, if he brings on Hudson-Odoi earlier, might have changed it. And if you just keep feeding them, they're going to put balls into the box. And if somebody like Wood or Origi is in there with their physical presence that they have up top, it could have been a different story, I think, for a second half. But yeah, that was a baffling decision for me with regards to Steve Cooper, and the fact, like I say, he didn't bring Hudson-Odoi on earlier to try and make more of an impact, because you could see that, especially after that red card, the Forest fans were getting up, and at the City ground, when the crowd are behind you, they can be that extra player, they can be that 12th man. And they could sense that there might have been something there in the game for them, but obviously luckily for us it wasn't to be. But I think if you're a Forest fan, you are scratching your head going like, how have we not made more of that man advantage in the time that we had?
It is really interesting you said that. It's quite an interesting take. Like you said, why not when we were down to 10? Add Hudson-Odoi or Origi, the people that could actually potentially hit the back of the net, because the other guys weren't necessarily doing a good job. So that is a really good take. I mean, Ross, because Wes has mentioned it, we'll talk about obviously that sending off from Basuma again. What do you kind of make of him at the moment? Because this isn't the first time.
No, and it's sorry. I'm sorry to see it because he is such a good player. But what I think it is, what it seems like to me is it's both come off times where he's made a mistake and then he's just trying to make up for it, or he's upset that he made the mistake and now I'm gonna make up for this now, which you have to be very careful about that, especially in this game when the ref just would not control the game and let them get away with everything and just wasn't on our side. I mean, so that's going to be a red just with the way that game was going and the way the guy was making those calls. Maybe he could cut a guy with a yellow at another time, but at that time, at that point in the game, with the ref not really showing us too much favoritism there, yeah, that's just not the time to dive in there with your foot up, studs up like that, because he's just gonna, that's just easy pretty much for them. And I knew it. I was like, yeah, that's a red. He's gone. And you just have to think about that. You have to consider that. And as I said, I mean, I don't know if there's anything else going on with him. Maybe he's got a knock. Maybe something else is going on with him at the time, and that's what's kind of, because he has kind of been a little shaky and not the how he was before. But we don't know that. But yeah, he's you'd have to be just a little, especially now, of course, with because now he's gone for 4 games, right? Because that's his second red. Yeah. So
Yeah.
you just have to be a little more conscious of that. But it's just something that can happen in the course of games.
It is crazy to think that. I mean, last week we were talking about Romero and how he's a very lucky boy. This week we're talking about Basuma and the fact that he's absolutely kebabbed someone under the knee. I mean, Wes, if you're Ange, so to speak, is it something that you can take out of the player? Or is it kind of like Ross said, he's out of frustration and losing the ball or making a mistake that causes him to lash out on players, so to speak?
Yeah, I think with that one in particular, Basuma, it's his own fault, to be honest, because he takes an absolutely horrendous first touch. Like, it is absolutely awful. Like, I know what he's tried to do. Basically, he's tried to be Thiago Alcantara and do his little hip swivel that Thiago does. And if you're unsure on it, like, YouTube it, because it's an unbelievable skill move. But he's just done it horribly wrong. But the thing with Basuma is, in that situation, he doesn't actually need to receive the ball in that way. A lot of the time, Basuma will use the bottom of his foot to control the ball. He could have easily done that. There was no pressure on him. But like I say, he's taken a horrendous first touch, and then he's chasing after it to try and make up for his error, and he's just got it horribly wrong. But it's one of those, I think, more so Romero. If you take that side out of Romero's game, you take a lot out of the player himself. Whereas Basuma's ones, I don't think Basuma's going to be going round and clarting everybody and sticking them in row Z every week like Romero would do. Romero would happily 2-foot his gran. Do you know what I mean? So I don't think Basuma's like that. It's just it seems like 2 lapses of concentration from him in 2 situations. We'll go back to the Luton game and obviously the one on Friday. And then he's trying to make up for mistakes and errors. But it seems at the moment that I wouldn't say we have a discipline problem or issue. It's just one of those where, if I'm Ange, I'm just going, look, lads, just play smarter. That's literally it. Like, play smarter. You think of like your doggy, and he's absolutely tried to go through Raheem Sterling. Again, doesn't need to make that tackle at that point in the game. Absolutely not. Just wild. So there might be some work in just saying, look, lads, just calm down, just play a little bit smarter. And we'll be all right. But to say, I don't think we've got a discipline issue. It's a slight cause for concern, of course, given where our squad is at. But yeah, like I say, if I manage, he's got to be careful in terms of how he approaches it, and then what he does moving forwards. Because, like I say, you take it out of certain players, and it's like, well, you're taking it away from the player that they actually are. Like I say, especially with Romero, because he is really, really aggressive as a defender. So you take that out of his game, and it's like, well, what's the point in having him, to be honest? So yeah, that's my take on it.
I think the thing for me is the fact that obviously it's not the first time Basuma's done it, but like you kind of said, I don't want to say I feel sorry for him, because I feel like he's brought it on himself with the mistake and the lack of concentration. But Ross, it's just so unfortunate. The amount of injuries we've got at the moment, it's the last thing we need.
Oh yeah, I know. It's just mounting and mounting, and you saw that. I saw it happen. Like, oh great, so now we go down to 10 men. They're, as Wes said, they're going to get up. They're going to be behind it. They've got a chance to get back in this game now. Plus, 4 games, he's out for 4 games now. Our midfield is already kind of thin. I mean, the fact that Kulu's been able to come in and play in there helps. We don't have to cover, quite as much spots there. But yeah, it's just insane everything that's going to happen. And when Johnson goes down, we don't know what was going on with that. If he had a concussion or something else, and then that would have been another person down. I mean, we're going to have our own hospital ward here before too long if this keeps happening.
No, definitely. And I think that's the thing. It's just frustrating at the sense that it could be avoidable if he does take a better touch. And I think that's the most annoying thing. But Ross, I'm going to keep with you because I want to talk about Decky again. The fact that obviously he manages to put the keeper off with that press again and intercept the ball. And the absolute finish of it as well, to go near post and smack it. I mean, what do you make of that Decky goal?
Oh man, that was I thought I saw a number 10 on his back and came to the back of his shirt. I mean that was a Harry-esque goal if I've ever seen one. I mean that just shows you what kind of quality he has. I mean, we're just so fortunate to have someone like that. I mean, he can do so many different things out there, and that was just a great interception and then just an incredible finish. I dare you to stop this. You can't. Kind of thing. And he beat my American buddy, but hey, Spurs first. So so there we go with that. But no, yeah, he's been great for us, incredible. Juventus reject, hey, I'll as I said before, I will take plenty of their rejects if they're going to be like him and Bentancur, because he's been great for us and just really, did well even before the system, but he really fits this system now. I mean, it just plays right to his strengths, and he can do so many different things, and it's and we need it with all the people that we're missing. We need this. We need him to step up, and different guys are doing that. They're stepping up. They're they're putting in the shifts and helping us win games.
Definitely, 100%. I mean, before I come to Wes on Decky, Everton Rose is in the house, and I know that we play Everton next, and she's talking about Richarlison, the fact she still loves him. Hopefully, come the weekend, you won't have to put up with a Richarlison goal, but I feel like you might have to, Rose. But it's nice to see you in it. And Wes, I'm going to come to you. See, we've spoken a little bit about Decky, and I know maybe towards the end of last season and a little bit at the start of this season, people were a bit what's the word? I don't want to say pessimist, it's probably the wrong word to use, but we're a bit downhearted of how not so well he was kind of doing. Are we now seeing the Decky that we knew and we loved when we signed him, do you think?
I think so, yeah. And I think that the goal itself on Friday, first, I think props has to go to Sonny, because if Sonny doesn't make that run towards Matt Turner, I don't think this goal happens. So Sonny's obviously gone to try and put a bit of pressure on the goalkeeper. He's had an absolute shocker on the goal, by the way, for about 3 different reasons. The first one is the clearance. The second, then obviously Decky picks it up, squares up his player, and then you're thinking, I think Murillo's going, right, well, I know you're left-footed, so go on your right, because I know you lefties hate your right foot because he's a lefty himself. And then obviously Decky's just gone, sod it, I'm just going to smash the life out of the ball. And then Turner's second mistake is that he goes down really early. He tries to predict what Kulusevski's going to do in that sense. And then it's just, he's absolutely flapped at it. And I think if you look at, say, for example, one of the saves Vicario made against Liverpool when a shot was right at him, he beats it away from danger. It's what Turner should have done on that one there, really. Should have beat it away from danger as opposed to trying to push it out. But yeah, I think Kulu really stepped up in the last few weeks, and I think he's got that capability to really take a game by the scruff of the neck and have a real impact. And I think we're starting to see now his influence on games, which is really, really good. And yeah, I mean, back in the last season, I think last season it was difficult for him. Obviously, he had his ankle injury and he couldn't really get a rhythm. Even start of this season, you're looking at it going, what's he actually contributing to games? But then you've realised that actually he covers a lot of ground for the team, and I don't think anybody's covered more distance. I don't think anybody's covered more distance than him this season in the Premier League. So that kind of shows that he's willing to sacrifice himself for the team at the same time. And now, like I say, he's starting to add the quality that us fans all knew that he had, but maybe the wider audience, if you like, couldn't necessarily see when we're having these debates with rival fans about how good Kulusevski is. And now, like I say, his influence on games is growing all the time. So yeah, long may it continue.
100%. And it also means that we can all sing the Ginger from Sweden 700 times.
Absolutely.
It's bloody lovely. But no, I just love Decky, and I think now the fact that, like Darren says, he is in his form of his life and may it continue. I think it's just very, very nice. I'm very much enjoying it. And I also want to make a special mention, Ross, to obviously the back line. I know last week we gave a special mention to Davies, but we managed to keep a clean sheet, and I know that's down to Vicario as well. But what did you make of obviously the defence this game?
Great, fantastic. I mean, clean sheet, that says it all. And, thinking about, we're doing it without our starting center back. And, Ben Davis, I mean, I have to just completely, give Ben Davis a special shout out. I mean, the guy, we've put that guy all over. I mean, put him at fullback, wing back even last season, center back. And he just gets the job done. Like I said, as I've said in other times, here in America, we have, a guy, he's a lunch pail guy, we'll say. Which means, he's a guy that, goes to, like everybody goes to work every day with their lunch pail, without fail every day. That's Ben Davis. That's what he does. He does his job. He knows what he can and can't get away with, doesn't try to do too much. And, you may not really notice him, or, people won't mention anything too much about him, but he's done everything that's been asked of him, and he's really done great. In fact, when he went in against the last game against Newcastle on that break, when he went down and blocked that ball, I mean, that was incredible. We expect, Romero and when Van de Ven was in there, the ones that are quick, but I mean, Ben still has some wheels on him there, it looks like. So it's fantastic. And Vicario, I mean, Venom, I mean, how can you, that guy's he's the best keeper in the Prem right now. I mean, I think that's just, that's not even me just being biased. I mean, I think he's just the best keeper in the Prem. And, what did he get? Was 16 million or something like that we got him for? And, you see what Rhea's making there with Arsenal. I mean, and that's who people wanted. And, look what he's done. I mean, he's the perfect keeper for the system, playing that sweeper keeper. I mean, he just fits into it so well. And I mean, just some of those saves he made yesterday were incredible. And, Romero, the same thing, just doing great, doing his thing, and our fullbacks with, Udogi and Poro, doing their thing, doing their job. I mean, they did great. They really came together.
Definitely. And I think that's the thing. I think, obviously, when we had Mickey van der Ven, obviously it was the perfect centre-back partnership with Romero. But Wes, for you, I mean, Davies has had a little bit of a rough time. I think there was a couple of games at the start of the season where I was pulling my hair out. But he has kind of adapted into that role of, you know what, I'm here to do a job, I'm kind of doing it. So for you, how has Ben Davies done in that role, filling in for Mickey van der Ven?
He's been brilliant. I've always had this opinion of Ben Davies, and I've been battered for it for ages, right? I actually think when he first came into the Tottenham team, he got slated. Reason being, he wasn't Danny Rose, right? That's as simple as that, because we were so used to Danny Rose bombing up and down the line and his quality and everything else, and you're going, right, okay, it's going to be very difficult for us to have somebody exactly like Danny Rose. But what I like about Ben Davies is he's reliable. There's not many games, and you look at his time at Tottenham, he's been there, nearly 10 years now? You could probably count, for me, on one hand, the amount of shockers he's had. And that, for me, says a lot. I've been fortunate enough to meet him as well. He's a really, really nice guy. But, yeah, I just think he's one of those where every team needs a player like him in there. Like, you look at Milner when he was at Liverpool, for example. One of those players that doesn't necessarily moan when they're out of the team, but when they come in, they know what they have to do, and they're going to do their job to the best of their ability. And ultimately, that's all you can ask for. But I think he's come in and played really, really well. I think he was brilliant at the Etihad. Between him and Emerson Royale, they pocketed Erling Haaland. He's not been seen since, so that says it all. And yeah, I think again against Newcastle was absolutely brilliant, as Ross said. The touch, I think, just to deny Isak a simple tap in was fantastic defending. And again, even on Friday, he's a reliable player for me, and I think he gets some unfair criticism because he's not a stellar name, or he's not somebody that we've signed for a huge amount of money. But he's a solid player for me, and yeah, like I say, I'm glad that we have someone like him within our team, because it gives us flexibility as well. Like, if we were to change formation, for example, and play with a 3, we can have Ben Davies in there and play left of a 3. He's done it for Wales plenty of times. As Ross said, he's played centre back really well. He can play left back, wing back as well. So, like I say, you need a player like that in your team. Coach's dream, I think, Ben Davies.
Definitely. And the thing is, he doesn't really kick up a fuss either. I think obviously when Mickey van der Ven is obviously when he naturally comes back, he will slot in there. And I don't think Davies will kick up a fuss. He's definitely one of those that you can pick as your squad player. And one of those that, like you guys have said, that if he needs to step in and do a job, he will do a job and he will do it to the best of his ability. And I think that's something that at Spurs, there's a few players that necessarily won't do. I won't name names. There's a few players that you think say, no, they'd probably have a little bit of a squinny if they've been playing this many games and then get dropped out. So, yeah, I think it's a fair comment to mention Ben Davies. That's been even just this game, but the last couple of weeks, I think he's done excellently. And that kind of moves me on to the next question, because Ross, I kind of want to know who your player of the match is. And I know we said lots of great performances tonight, but who is your standout player for that game against Forest?
I got to go with Kulu. I mean, assisted Richarlison on his goal, and then his goal was great, and then just everything, was just all over, up and down the pitch, doing his thing. Yeah, he definitely is the player of the match for me. Just especially going down 10 men and keeping it going and keep pressing, keep getting forward, keep attacking. Yeah, for sure. He's man of the match for me for sure.
Definitely. I'm going to be boring and say he's my man of the match as well. But Wes, are you going to mix it up, or are you going to be the same as well?
I'm going to mix it up. I'm going Daddy Davies, to be fair. I thought he was absolutely brilliant. You look at kind of towards the end of the game, obviously Forest are battering balls into the box and he's getting his head on it. I think he's just defended really, really well. And obviously for him to be, I wouldn't say necessarily out of position, but it's not in his favoured position. But yeah, I just thought he was absolutely brilliant. Vicario deserves a mention as well, because that save from Toffolo, how on earth has that happened? Because that is, how many times have you seen those where they're dead cert goals? And I think Vicario's really, really grown into the role of being a Premier League goalkeeper, not just a Tottenham goalkeeper, but a Premier League goalkeeper as well. I think he's improving every single game, and he's got a little bit of roughhousery in there as well, which I think every fan can get behind. But yeah, for me, I think Davies did really, really well in terms of marshalling anybody that he was sort of up against. For Forest, whether that was Gibbs White, Elanga, Wood when he come on, did well against Hudson-Odoi as well. He can be a tricky customer when he was coming inside. So yeah, for me, Daddy Davies was my man of the match.
I like it. I love it, Wes. You always come on and you manage to think of someone different, whereas I'm boring and stick with the same person. But no, I think all those three people. I mean, I think Kulu said the same as you guys. And I know we've spoken about Vicario, but I just want to bring it up again because I think that the money we paid for him, the fact that he has been so class for us, and I know lots of people were saying in that what was it, the warm up, not the warm up game, you know what I mean, the pre-season game, thinking, oh, I don't know if he's going to be the one. Well, my word, I think we're all sitting back and thinking differently now, because he has been sensational. He has been class. But that was another 3 points, obviously, on the table for us against Forest, which kind of brings me on to the next set of questions, Ross, because we do play Everton at the weekend. It's 3:00 Saturday. So what are your initial thoughts going into this one?
Yeah, that's at home, right?
I think
it is.
It is. Okay, good. That changes it right there, because I think feel real good about it. If it was at Goodison, I'd have a little because we usually it's always a tough day when we go to Goodison for whatever reason. It's like when we used to go to Burnley, same thing. It's just going to be a tough day. Yeah, no, I feel pretty good about it. I mean, we'll probably have the same lineup. I mean, obviously, without Basuma. So, I mean, I figured that's either going to be probably Højbjerg, or I would think Højbjerg, probably not Skip, because Ange seems to prefer the experienced guys in there. But, I mean, we should have everybody else. I mean, I'm sure Johnson will probably play. I mean, if he just does have a bandage on or something, if he's that. But, no, I feel pretty good about it. I mean, we're going to have to be ready because, Daesh has got them playing well. Ever since that deduction, they've really played well. And they're really feeling good. So they're going to come in, feeling pretty good about themselves. But I think if we just play like we have the past two games, I think we get it. I think we get the 3 points.
I hope so, and I'm glad you mentioned obviously that 10-point deduction because Wes, I think it is true. I think I wrote down some notes. I was actually very good today. They managed to beat Burnley, beat Chelsea, beat Newcastle, and beat Forest. I mean, Dyche just put a rocket up their butt, I think, because they are doing bits at the moment.
I don't think he has, I just think it's a case of like, right, everybody's against. It's us against everybody now. It's us against the league. Literally, that's. He's just got everybody together and gone, right. It's us against the league. Let's just use it as fuel to go out there and prove people wrong. And I think what I liked about Dyche was early on in the season, he never panicked when Everton had a really rough start to the season. I think their expected goals, and for those that don't know what expected goals is, and I know Hollie, you're probably hating me for this now, but expected goals measures the quality of chance that you create as a team, and Everton's was one of the highest in the league at the start of the season. And Dyche was sort of going, well, look, if we're not creating these chances, then I'd be more worried. But we're creating so many chances, it's just a case of we can't finish them. But I know he was confident that it would come good, and it's taken for a points deduction for it to happen. But yeah, I think we're going to have to really, really be at it on Saturday because Everton are in good form. Dyche has got them playing really, really well. I watched the game against Burnley. They can mix it really, really well. I think you look at a Dyche team from the past. Obviously, at Burnley, it was very much get the ball into the opposition half and then we'll play. Whereas Everton can play through the pitch. They've got some good ball players in there, especially in midfield, like Savannah. Decore can take the ball. Garner's good on the ball as well. And then they've got some speed out wide with Harrison and McNeil. So I think your doggy might be suspended. So that's going to be a bit of a killer for us, I think. So it looks like Emerson Royale might have to play left back. But listen, if Emerson Royale can pocket Erling Haaland, mate, anything's possible. But no, I think this is going to be a really, really tricky one. But having said that, Tottenham Everton 2 days before Christmas. I've seen this script before. The 6-2 at Goodison in 2018, I believe it was 2019. I was at the game. Banter from our Spurs end at 4-1, singing "You should have gone Christmas shopping" to the Everton fans at Goodison. It was absolutely brilliant. So yeah. But no, I'm actually looking forward to this game because, like I say, I'm enjoying watching Tottenham for a change, and I'm looking forward to seeing what this Everton team can do. And obviously, they've had a few injuries and suspensions themselves, yet they've managed to cut and cope with it really, really well, I think. So yeah, this is going to be a cracker, I feel.
It definitely is right before Christmas. And obviously the big talk on everybody's lips, Ross, is whether Richarlison is going to bang one in against his old club. What's your kind of feeling?
I think so. I think he'll do it. He's did that. I don't know if he has. I mean, no, Liverpool was the one he scored against. I knew it was one of the teams there. And before the disaster happened, we won't talk about that. No, I do. I think so. I think he's in great form right now. He's feeling really good about himself. He's going to have that little extra bit of oomph, whenever you face your former team, you want to go out there and gives you a little extra motivation. But yeah, no, I think he could get one for sure. I mean, I hope so. I just want this to continue.
Definitely, and it'd give him another nice boost to obviously get that kind of goal against them lot as well. I mean, Wes, I'm kind of going to get a last couple of points from you and Ross for this game. In terms of obviously that midfield, I know Ross has mentioned obviously Højbjerg come in. I think we found out today that Gianni Celso's got a muscle strain or something, so that kind of puts him out of touch for that game against obviously Everton. So for you, is Højbjerg the man that you're going to stick in that midfield, do you think?
Yeah, Lo Celso's probably strained a back muscle from picking up like 80 grand a week or something. Do you know what I mean? Unbelievable, honestly. Yeah, midfield three, I would probably say Højbjerg, Papa Sarr, if he's available. I don't know if I think he got booked on Friday, but I don't know if that counts as a suspension. So yeah, if he's available, I fully expect Papa Sarr to be in there, and Kulusevski in that number 10 role. That's if Johnson's available. If Johnson isn't available, then I would probably say it would be Højbjerg, Skip, and Sarr. Why? It's, in the words of Van, just all we got, mate. So, we haven't really got many options. It's a shame that Alfie Devine is out on loan, because I think with the circumstance in terms of what's going on, he could have been a player that we could have looked to, get in this team and see what he could really do, which is a bit of a shame. But that was so. Højbjerg definitely in for Basuma, Papsar, and hopefully anyway Decky in that 10 role.
Lovely job. And Ross, I'm going to give you the last question for the Everton game. What is your score prediction?
I'm going to go with 2-1 Spurs.
I like it. 3 points is all points to me. I'll take
that.
That's
it,
so
exactly.
We'll take that as a good shout. So hopefully you've predicted the future, Ross, and we'll be getting a lovely 3 points. But yeah, hopefully that Everton game goes well. But before we go, I kind of want to get your last 2 thoughts on how you think the season's going so far and what you expect to happen, obviously, in January, with this being, obviously, the last Hollies Hotspurs Live of the year. So Wes, I'm going to come to you first. What's your kind of thoughts?
What a season we're having, by the way. I think it's been an unbelievable season. I think if you asked any Tottenham fan at the start of the season, obviously we knew we were going to have a new manager in, but to kind of be sitting where we are at this moment in time with a new manager in place, you're seeing it potentially elsewhere, whereby it's taking a manager a long time to get his philosophy and his ideas across to the players. And I think as well, adding to the fact that we lost Harry Kane the evening before the season kicked off. If you then said to every Spurs fan, you're going to be sitting 5th at this point in the season, I think every Tottenham fan would have snapped your hand off. Look, and I still think for us, 5th or 6th represents a good season for us as well. I think we have to be realistic with that, because obviously we've had injuries, and I think for me the injuries thing, I think it's across the board within the league. I don't recall this amount of injuries happening throughout the league, but I think it's hampered us big time. I think we've got a good first 11. It's obviously that depth in behind it that we need to address, but it's not going to happen in January. It's not going to happen in the summer. We'll probably get the fruits of the labour, if you like, around this time next year, or maybe even the year after. Who knows? But it's going to take a little bit of time. But I think as a fan now, we go to games and we are so excited to watch our team. And it's been a long, long time since us as fans have felt like that, and it's just been brilliant. But like I say, I think we've had a really, really good sort of first half of the season, and obviously long may it continue. And yeah, I think, like I say, I still think top 6, whether that's 5th or 6th, it still represents a fantastic season for us. So yeah, I am loving Big Ange instead.
Oh yes, and I've got it on my Christmas jumper too, man. Woo!
I thought that's what it was.
Love it.
Yeah.
But no, I think you're right, Wes. I think I'd snap your hand off if this was what you were going to tell me after losing Harry Kane, that we'd be sitting where we are right now. But Ross, what's your kind of thoughts on the season so far, and what do you expect to come in January and further on down the line?
Oh, it's been great. I mean, at the beginning of the season, if you said, okay, you're going to have a new manager, Harry Kane's going to be gone, you're going to be missing several key starters, and we're 5th, I mean, most people would have said, oh, no way, we're going to be mid-table, probably at best. But, we're only a few points off top as well. So, I mean, to be in the position that we're in with the injuries we've had and everything that's gone on is incredible. And it just speaks to Ange and his system and the players buying into it. I didn't know a lot about him like other people did, but I remember researching a little bit. I was like, and watching this style of play, I said, okay, maybe this can work. And it has. I mean, they've come together. Everybody's come together. And yeah, as Wes said, we enjoy watching the team now. It's not like, oh, now we got to watch us, play behind the ball and try to, hit it over the overhead and pray that Kane and Son gets on the end of it. Now it's exciting. We're always have a chance. We're in there. If we go behind the goal, that's okay, because we'll get one back. No problem. So, yeah, and I agree with that. I think, 5th, 6th would be, just Europe in general would be a great season. January window, I think I hope to see some guys come in. It's not a big window as we know. You're not really going to get the bulkier guys there, but if we could get 1 or 2 guys in there to help at these key spots, the defense up top, an attacker somewhere in there, I think that'd be great. That would really help us out for the rest of the way. And it's going to be an interesting season because there's those teams right at the top with us and everybody else. Like Villa, Newcastle. I mean, there's going to be a lot of competition for those European spots. So it's going to really, we're really going to have to come together and play well. But yeah, I definitely think we could finish 5th or 6th for sure. I mean, as well as we're doing with all those guys out, yeah, that's definitely not out of the realm of possibility.
Definitely, and I think that's the thing. I think we're just all very optimistic for once. It's not doom and gloom. I generally think I'm the jinx because I think I went to lots of games last season and we didn't do very well. The one game I went to this season, I witnessed Chelsea absolutely abominate us. So I think I should just stay away, to be honest. But it's been great to have you guys on tonight to dissect, obviously, that Forest game. Thank you to everybody, obviously, that's been in the chat. It is the last Hollies Hotspurs Live of the year. It's been a madness. So thank you to everybody that's tuned in, that's been a guest. I really appreciate it. And obviously, me and Wes, though, will be back Thursday for a very special last Christmas edition of our Hollies Hot Takes. So make sure you tune in for that one. But before we go, let's go around the table. I'm going to leave Wes till last because I love listening to his outros. So Ross, far away, where can everybody find you?
Hey, you can find me there on X, formerly Twitter, there at Spursy Night, and I do some posting on there, Tottenham and other various things, and that's about it. Come on, you Spurs.
Love it, Ross. Again, thank you so much for coming on, obviously giving your insight from across the pond. I really appreciate it. And without further ado, my lovely co-host on a Wednesday/Thursday/ when I'm actually about, or / when he can do it by himself, Wes, far away, where can people find you?
Okay, here we go. Strap yourselves in. Twitter or X, whatever it's called this week, is at Wezo10, the unofficial Moussa Dembele fan account, usually retweeting a comp that somebody's put together from the greatest of all time, my favourite ever Tottenham player, and the greatest of all time as spoken for by his peers, none the less. So that's Twitter or X. Instagram is Wezo32, usually at a Spurs game up and down the country, although I haven't been to that many in the last few weeks, which has been a bit of a shame, but the lovely people at Sky have had something to say about that, which has been a bit frustrating. And I will be at the Everton game as well, so really, really looking forward to that. Obviously, last one before Christmas. I think it's our last home game as well in 2023 also, so looking forward to that. I also run my own football coaching business in the Milton Keynes area, Deli Alley country, for anybody that doesn't know where it is. It's one of the few things we're famous for in Milton Keynes. So it's Kickoff Football Academy or at Co for MK across all of your socials. And a merry Christmas and a happy new year to everybody who is watching or listening.
Oh, I love it, Wes. Honestly, this is what I wait for every show when I have you on. So, no, thank you for doing that. And again, thank you to everybody that's tuned in. Don't forget, obviously, it's the last one of the season of Hollies Hot Takes. We will be back in the new year at some point. I just haven't decided when that will be yet. But you can join me and Wes, obviously, again on Thursday, just obviously before Christmas kicks off. So make sure you tune in for that one. And until next time, come on, you Spurs.